Okay, it being 1300, let's call this BATA Board of Directors meeting to order. Let's start with pledge of allegiance. Where's our notes over there?
Oh,
Oh, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Gracie, roll call if you would, please. Here.
Schmidt,
Here.
Gwen Elvire,
When, let me know, yeah, she was gonna be running a little bit late coming from the Leelanau County Administrator interviews.
Dale Underwood, Patsy Fred,
Here.
Brad Jewett,
Here.
and Richard Crocker.
Here. Public comment. You want us to read that? And nobody's here. Probably read it anyway.
An interested party or person may address the board on any matter of BATA concern during the public comment. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes, and a 1-minute warning will be given when needed. Any public comment that becomes disruptive, unduly repetitive, or impedes the orderly progress of the meeting may be terminated by the proceeding officer. Once you have completed your public comment, the board may ask any clarifying question. If needed, you will be assigned a member of BATA staff to follow up directly on any open concerns.
Thank you. Let's move on. Can we get an approval of the agenda for this meeting?
So made. Or
Any discussion? No? Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent calendar. So that consent calendar is to expedite business, including non-controversial items together to be dealt with in one board motion without discussion. A member of the board, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected if an item is not removed from the consent calendar. The action noted on the agenda is approved by a single board action adopting the consent calendar. The items are consideration or approving the following minutes: regular board of directors meeting minutes of October 31st, 24, special board of directors meetings November 18th, 24. Consideration of accepting the following report: October 2024 financial statement, fiscal year 2024 Q3 and Q4 impact index, BATA board tracker, staff compliments, correspondence, TCDN article. Are there any items that anyone would like to remove from the consent calendar?
Motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Right on to number 8. Hell, you're the 8 ball.
It's appropriate.
Oh, I can't hit my beautiful. Yeah, okay. I'll be like, what was that on Laugh Party? The guy.
Ari Johnson.
He's always hiding behind stuff.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for making it out on this snowy day. Good to have a quorum and be able to conduct the required business of the agency. So I have my written report in the folder. I'm certainly open for any questions if there are any that I had on that. I'll just also thank both Wayne and Richard for coming yesterday to the staff holiday luncheon. I know that means a lot to the staff to see board members at those events, and appreciate you taking the time to come and have lunch with us.
Oh, and thank you for giving me the macro.
Yes.
Uh,
The macaroon
Compliments
recipe.
to, it was
Mariah made them.
Mariah, thank you.
Mariah, yes.
Yeah.
She made some excellent macaroons, and Grandview Catering did a great job, and Tracy did just a tremendous job putting
Yeah.
the event together. She can come in. Yeah,
You can come in this way, Counselor.
thanks. But it's a busy time of year, and our staff has been doing an excellent job navigating the snow that we've had this year and difficulties out on the road and the unfortunate situation I emailed all of you about last week or earlier this week as well. So lots going on in the agency, but I think spirits are high and people are excited about the future. And this is my last board meeting, so I will just be just part of the public from here on out. And I hope that all of you will continue to serve BATA with respect and integrity, and to understand the importance of the board in this organization. BATA is a very professionally run organization. And I know sometimes there's a reputation that public sector agencies may not share the same principles as private sector agencies. And I can tell you that this organization is not one of them. We have been very fiscally responsible and diligent in running the agency very carefully. And we take a lot of pride in that. And the staff does a tremendous job. It's a staff full of professionals that I don't think you will find in any other organization, let alone another public sector agency. So I hope you'll value that and respect that and understand that the tenor of the board filters down into the organization and is very important to be supportive of the agency and the mission of the agency and the staff, and specifically the executive director. So as you go into the beginning of 25 with your most important task, hiring a new executive director, I hope you'll ask yourself if you have the time to commit to this agency and you have the interest and the commitment in your heart. Because if not, there are a lot of people in this community that would do so willingly. And if you can't make it to the meetings, I totally understand. People have different things going on in their lives, and that's not always possible. But if you don't have that flexibility and that commitment and respect for the agency, then I just ask you to really think about whether there's value in taking the seat on the board. With that being said, I guess I'll go into the headquarters facility update. There are still a number of open issues that we're continuing to work on, and those will continue to be worked on into the new year. A lot of them are things that, maybe couldn't be tested in the summer when the facility was being completed, like the snow melt system and some issues with the heating and cooling system. Kurt is continuing to work on that. Jerry is continuing to support. And the Chrisman Company, who, of course, has a 1-year warranty for the project, is very involved on all of those issues. So just continuing to get that building up and running. It seems like a brand new facility should just be turnkey and voila, everything works. But no, it never is. And so there are a lot of just kind of standing it up pains and trying to get through all of that at the same time as all of the other normal course of business issues are coming up. So just supporting the organization and being patient with some of those.
What are some of the heating issues?
So like one section of the facility is not, the dispatch center specifically was not reaching the temperature that it should be. and even still, like, it's better than it was. We've been working on it for a number of weeks, but if the set point is, let's just say 74 degrees, and it's punched to go 3 above set point, that should be 77 degrees in there, and yet it's still struggling to be 73.
Oh.
So, trying to get to the bottom of why isn't it getting where it's supposed to go, right? So, and part of it was early on, it was learning curves with how to use a new smart building system. They're tricky. They're not as straightforward as home thermostats. But also just making sure that all of the return air, it's beyond my technical understanding, but there's a lot of ventilation and circulation of the air and heating and cooling that is taking place to maintain the ambient temperatures, right? So, so Kurt can give you guys a better update on that if you want a full report on where the heating and cooling system is. I'm sure he'd be happy to come in January and do that, but that's just one thing. There's small things and there's big things. There's we've had a lot of issues with the doors, the overhead doors. So whether it's the Cornell doors in the maintenance shop area that we've had coming off their tracks, we've had the Rytec doors have different issues than the Cornell doors, but just some of those things that are like, it just seems like whether it's camera systems and some of the technologies, or if it's some of the building technologies. They just there's just a lot to chase, a lot keeping everybody very busy on that end of things. So, but we're working on it and continue. We meet weekly or bi-weekly with the project team and chase all of these. And so, I'm sure Jerry would be willing to come back and give a full project update at some point too. And we also have not released the retainage on several of the vendors that are having issues.
Good.
So
That's good. That's what I was going to
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah.
That's good.
So maintaining the leverage on them, and also with the Chrisman company.
Good.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it on the facility, and I don't think I have anything else in my report unless there are any questions.
I have a question, but not about the new facility, about the drivers involved in the unfortunate incident. And even though it had an unfortunate culmination, I
Yeah.
hope there's going to be some recognition for those drivers, because I think it's above and beyond just driving a bus through downtown Traverse City. And they're like, hey, what's going on there?
Yeah.
3 people, right? There's 3 different drivers.
Yeah.
I personally think there should be some kind of recognition, and if there is, I'm all for it. If not, I'm just throwing out as a suggestion. It was unfortunate how it ended up, but I see people drive every day and they can't focus on the road in front of them as opposed to the situation unfolding around them. I think they should be commended, even though it was a sad end.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
we did a town's meeting with all our employees at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And we did acknowledge not only those 3, but also our one of our dispatchers, lead dispatchers. I called all 3 of them that evening just to check in on their well-being. And then the lead dispatcher was very much acknowledged by the drivers, but he was very calm during it all, as well as the supervisor on call, on staff, Meredith. Both of those maintained very calm. In addition, Adam and Kelly met with the staff down here just to check in on them when it happened. So yesterday at the comms meeting, we did address actually everybody involved. So there's multiple people, but and there's a good suggestion about offering some more CPR classes in case they need it also. So we're going to bring that in after the beginning of the year.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Firefighters, that responded, he called in and said in writing and verbally, what a good job, especially the person that tried CPR for 7 to 10 minutes without stopping.
Wow,
It's good.
you say only like 4% of people survive.
And
It's a very, very small number.
It is.
Thank you for that. Thank you. It's good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah. That was a sad day. Okay,
Okay. Thank you, Kelly. On to chairperson's report. I have a resolution. Honoring Kelly for her service that, this, you want to read it or should I?
You can, unless you're ready to.
No, I will. Whereas Kelly Dunn has been employed in serving a number of roles at the Area Transportation Authority from December 22nd, 2009 to December 31st, 2024. And whereas Kelly Dunn has served for the past 8 years as Executive Director of Bay Area Transportation Authority. And whereas Kelly Dunham planned and coordinated the construction of BATA's new state-of-the-art operations headquarters by securing more than $23 million in federal and state grant funds. And whereas Kelly Dunham through BATA to providing more than 400,000 rides annually and guided the transition from a rural transit agency to a small urban agency. And whereas Kelly Dunham secured BATA's first local millage increase in more than 14 years in 2017 to meet growing public transportation demand, and again renewed that millage in 2022 with more than 60% support. And whereas Kelly Dunham created financial stability for BATA by establishing its first capital and operational reserve funds, and whereas Kelly Dunham created BATA's first fare-free high-frequency route, the Bayline, that was developed collaboratively with community partners to meet the year-round transportation needs of residents and visitors. And whereas Kelly Dunham embraced new technologies to improve operational efficiencies and reduce barriers for people to use public transit. And whereas Kelly Dunham navigated BATA through a global pandemic. Whereas Kelly Dunham developed a performance-based culture within the organization using measurable metrics to track progress and ensure accountability, leading to increased productivity, employee engagement, and organizational success by aligning individual goals with broader company objectives. Therefore, be it resolved that the Area Transportation Authority Board of Directors hereby honors Kelly for her 15 years of dedicated service and leadership to the Bay Area Transportation Authority. Presented this 12th day of December 2024.
Motion to approve the resolution honoring Kelly Dunham for her years of service.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah. You've been
Yeah, that's transitional times for many different reasons.
Yep,
Yes.
Yeah.
And
yes, been a lot. 15 years.
I'm just going to say this is my last great board meeting, and I'm glad that I'm exiting. At the time I am with her. She was my concern. Things might not go well for her going forward. So both of us get to step out at a point in time that we've both been fortunate enough to be involved with the success that BATA has realized. So last 2 years haven't been too good, but hey.
On a high note, though, we're doing very well.
The agency is very strong. It's never been stronger.
Okay.
And
Just
the board, I am very hopeful that the board has stability coming to it in 2025. I really believe that it does, and I think that it's time, and I think that there's opportunity for that to happen, and that's my hope for the agency, so that it can continue to thrive and have a supportive board.
it doesn't become a political issue. It should never be or even remotely conceived as a political.
Concur 100%.
Totally independent, and it has its own constituents to serve, and that's what they should focus on. It shouldn't be influenced by anything other than serving. If you're not there to serve the people that use or utilize BATA, then you shouldn't be here. If you're here to serve your party, no. If you're here to serve your own self, no, be gone. So that's all I got to say. We can move on to let Justin go.
We let Justin go. Not let him go. Let him go. We excused Justin. We excused, he was here.
I know.
He was
I
here.
couldn't.
Yeah. He was here, but he was not well. And in the interest of protecting everyone's health and giving him a break to recuperate, we let him go home today. But I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any on the information that was presented. I will, let's see, where are we at? Agenda. We are at the capital plan outlook. So this is information in advance of a revision to the policy that Justin is going to bring in January. So just wanted to give you all, what is really happening is BATA, the demands on BATA's capital funds, which is why we started this capital reserve fund several years ago, knowing that the transition to small urban would mean BATA funds its own vehicles. And that's a major shift from the way BATA has always operated, which is MDOT funded the vehicles. So we've been looking at what amount of money is that going to take on an annual basis? And how do we want to ensure that the capital reserve fund will maintain a healthy balance as we start drawing it down? Because where it seems like, oh, we've got $7 million in capital funds. Well, when vehicles are $250,000 a piece, that doesn't go very far, right? So setting a goal of replacing 8% of the vehicles each year and just doing that on an annual basis and projecting out what there are still some small funding avenues available with the MPO funds and the rural task force funds that we use for capital. But it still looks like it's going to take probably an average of $1.5 million a year to self-fund the vehicles. So building that in and projecting out where does that leave the capital fund at the end of that 3-year period. That's what Justin has in the packet here. And we'll come back to you with a revision to the operating or the capital reserve fund policy, because right now, and since its inception in 17, we've been funding it with 5% of the revenue each year. So that will likely need to change.
Are there any funds available through other state and federal agencies or grants or?
I mean,
like
possibly, but they're competitive grants. I mean, the good and bad is that there's flexibility in the funds that come from the feds and even the state operating dollars. So you could use some of the operating dollars for capital if you needed to. They're not specifically restricted, but as far as like the 5339B program, which is what we funded the facility out of, those are all discretionary funds. And so unless we were partnering with other agencies, it'd be difficult to be competitive as a small agency and getting those funds. So it's not like no, not never, but it's also not a reliable source. So I think you really want to have a plan to self-fund vehicles to the extent possible.
Can we get 12 and a half years out of a vehicle? I mean, if we're only doing 8% a year, it's going to take just shy of 12 and a half years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is like, are the federal restrictions on buses similar to what NDOT is, or?
Well, there are buses. Once we can run them for as long as we don't have to follow the guidelines of MDOT once we own them. You know, when we're buying them, we can run them as long as we want. I would say, yes, we can probably get 12 years out of some of the, especially the heavy duty buses.
And do you think we're gonna be leaning more towards propane versus electric, or are we forced into electric?
We're not forced into electric. The only reason to go with electric is if that's funded. So that's the thing about grants, is that they open grants up where they want to support. So, and that changes with the administration. So I would say in the next few years, you're probably not going to see electric funded programs. And that's, I mean, that's okay. That's good, right? Like,
Yeah.
because that technology is
Well-
still questionable.
May I ask,
Mhm.
do we have the chargers yet?
No, but the RFP has been approved and is being published in January. So we just decided not to put it out in December, with it being the last couple of weeks of the year.
So it's gonna take 18 months to get them lined up.
No, it shouldn't, it actually shouldn't take that long to get the procurement underway, the RFP. was-
Curious that,
And that's an MDOT.
I think the thing to see on the electric side of it though would be, make sure they have kinks worked out of the buses. And buses are different than a car and
Right.
stuff like that before we want to jump.
The biggest issue with the electric is the range
Right.
and the limitation of the range. And that makes it very difficult to actually run them on a road,
Yeah.
you know? So, but the propane has its own challenges too. And the whole bus manufacturing world, it has a lot of challenges right now. So it's going to be going where buses are available more than anything, I think,
Well, that's
what you can get.
been critical of our next executive director is grants.
Mhm.
We've been excellent. There's
Seeking them,
speaking
yeah.
them and getting them and, just staying on.
Yeah, I mean, you want to continue to do that as much as possible to reduce the burden on the local taxpayers, you know?
And keep the Federal Reserve funded.
yeah,
Mhm.
flexibility though, buying vehicles,
Yeah, for sure.
that'll be really good. 'Cause
Mhm.
we had to rely on those other ones, we need
Mhm.
not a lot right now.
Yeah. Well, and when you're told congratulations, you get 20 buses this year. It's
Yeah.
like, great, because then we're gonna have to replace 20 buses
Yeah.
all at the same time. And it's just a very challenging whiplash kind of way to work.
Oh, yeah. No.
So stabilizing and having a better consistent projection and being able to operate in that.
Total
plan
buses not
will be good. Around 80,
80?
How many are in actual?
8% is
about 50.
6.4.
Because we have 6 of the electric that still aren't operational.
No, we have 4 electric vans. The
Oh,
2 aren't
okay.
here yet, but we have 4.
Okay, so it's a total of 6 coming.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and we have 4 and they are operational, even though we have to charge them. Yeah,
Oh.
we slow charge them, you know,
Are we actually using them?
yeah, we use them down in the urban core here.
Oh, just.
Speaking of slow charging, it's my understanding that actual slow charging is actually better for the life of the battery.
Hmm.
That if you quick charge them in already stage 2 or stage 3, that you actually you drastically reduce the lifespan of the battery.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We should look into that before we get crazy with them. Hey, let's trade, we'll plug it in for 20 minutes and I get 80% charge back.
Yeah,
And I took 2 years of life off my battery back.
right, yeah,
No, I've heard that and read it also, just for cars.
I mean, it would,
Yeah.
not to advocate a new policy, but it would almost behoove us to be like, hey, we're gonna charge that bus overnight, so we have a different bus. Kind of like, or a different van that's maybe even electric.
yeah,
They are claiming some of the new generation of batteries, and I don't know what type they are, but I was reading out a while back. There is no life shortage on a fast charge versus a slow charge.
I believe those are the lithium sulfur ones.
There's lithium something, but I don't remember what the second part of it is.
I
So,
think it's sulfur. I just read something about it last week.
yeah, so it is like 2 weeks ago, I read something like that, so. So do they get a full day in town?
Adam, how long do the vans get?
They get a good half a day. So we're using them right now, at least 2 to 4 hours. And no problem. We can run easily a 6-hour shift on them. And that's that's averaging about 2.5 rides per hour. So we're all over the place in there. Lake County's in there, of course, like,
Even with this type of weather being colder?
yeah, we haven't tested it quite to these temperatures yet. So,
I was just curious.
yeah, that's just new through the summer and the fall so far.
Yeah, okay.
This weather will take the charge down.
I know.
Mhm.
All right, what you got next?
Moving right along.
Moving right along. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So do we have a motion to?
I don't need a motion on the capital plan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just informational for the policy revision that Justin's working on for January.
Okay.
And then,
Q4 2024 financial reports.
yeah, so full suite of financial reports in the packet. Happy to answer questions if there are any. You will also, that's the year end, obviously the fiscal year end set of reports. So you'll also see that with the audit report in the first quarter of next year. You'll see the total income ended at 6.6 million for the year, and on page 37, Justin has included an explanation for all of the major variances on both the income and the expense side. Most of the variance on the income side is the sale of the facility, gas facility. Diamond did close. That will show up in the November minutes or financials.
So
I'll make a motion that we approve the Q4 2024 financial reports as presented.
that's second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Old business. Do we have any old business?
I don't know.
Stuff you want to dig up and pass?
No.
No,
Good. Okay. So leave all that behind us.
Yes, please.
There's something about new business, airport service pilot. Adam, if you would, please.
Yes, sir. So BATA's operations team believes that the airport service is an underserved market in the morning, specifically between the hours of like 4 and 7. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to schedule a ride or any sort of taxi service, but there isn't really a good, reliable source in the Traverse City area. So we'd like to, and are requesting 1,300 hours added on to our budget here for testing that market and seeing what that looks like for the core zone or our kind of in the city where our city loops run to service the airport in the morning hours and provide that for our community. So we brought that before you for that ask.
How much is that total?
45,000.
45,000.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that. Yeah.
So, I mean, would this be like door, pick up at the door, or are we going to
Yeah.
consider offsite lots in different areas where people then?
Great question. So now that we have our link service or our BATA technology, we can run door-to-door service through the same scheduling software that anybody with the app service or calling into our dispatch center that schedule.
So you just go up.
And it would be ride sharing in the morning to the airport. So you could request any pickup around town, wherever you're at, if you're at a local hotel or your residence, and then go to the airport.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And
I mean, it seems like there's a lot of 6 o'clock, 6:30 flights out of TC that are just brutal to get to.
They are brutal to get to and brutal pay for parking, especially if you're only going.
Well, I think our rates are very attractive.
What hours? The airport supports this request.
So all airport rates are
All
attractive,
airport rates are very, just,
especially when you get past TSA.
well, I can't control TSA.
So the
Well, no, I
airport,
mean the restaurants and all that. like-
Yeah.
the airport did ask for
I know.
beta support on this pilot as well.
And
just wanted-
12 months, the full 12 months.
Through the fiscal year, yeah, that would
Or,
be, so January through the end
Oh,
of
September.
September.
Okay, 9 months, okay.
Yeah. And that, we would feel like that gives us like the spring break window, summertime and different business cycles that we can at least test it into 2026 and,
And they'll go into Leelanau.
No, just the core area. for
yeah, currently for our pilot.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah, but you can budget for the full scope for the next fiscal year. It'll be,
Yeah.
we're coming right up.
Yeah,
Working
people
on
in
the fiscal
Leelanau
26
need
budget.
rides too.
Yeah,
People in Leelanau need rides.
yeah. I think it's just a matter of staffing ability right now, but also trying to manage it on a smaller scale to see how it's going to operate and then, refine it and then build it out to the full, both kinds.
Well, like it says here, I mean, it's a pilot program, start with this core area. If it works out well, then we can expand it and
Yeah.
everything, so.
How about if you do it for 6 months and then reevaluate?
I'm sure
Yeah,
they
that's
can-
the plan. I mean,
6 months? Okay.
well, it's 9 months.
Well,
It's 9 months.
Because it starts January.
It'll probably take a little bit to get the word out on it anyway,
Yeah.
so the first couple months probably gonna not be quite as.
So it'll also give you in that time frame. It'll give you a better broad spectrum of idea of travel.
Travel.
I mean, travel in January is different than travel in June and it's different than travel in August.
It's Mr. Airport.
We've never done this before, so it's really learning our market and
Yeah.
how we want to.
I think it's great. There's a lot of hotels in town that offer that. Come stay with us and we'll take you to the airport tomorrow morning. As a shuttle service, there's definitely some opportunity there. And I don't know that we can address it from here on the other end of the spectrum at the end of the night
Mhm.
when people are getting
That's the
back.
more
There's
challenging
no,
side.
there's no cabs or any of that when you get back at 11 o'clock at night or whatever that last flight
The
is.
last flight is
You
11,
get back.
comes in at 11 or 11:10.
Okay, so you get back at midnight.
That's when,
You do? Oh,
that's when
absolutely.
it's scheduled.
Yeah.
The schedule.
You're lucky.
It's not it's usually not our airport that's the problem.
Yes.
Right.
Other
I would
places.
expand it though to Leelanau as soon as you can because people do talk about
Yeah.
all
Oh,
the
I know.
money we give to Beta.
And a lot of the requests for the service have come from Leelanau County.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
Yes, it's harder to get somebody.
The people come here first, or how do the folks get on the shuttle?
So
From where?
if you are within that zone that we're operating, wherever you're scheduling from, wherever you.
What is the core? Core's right here?
It's,
It'd be your house.
so think of our city loops, that's our core zone, like whatever we serve on our city loop services,
So you're gonna pick them up.
wherever they are. So it's their curb to the airport.
And is there a window of time if this, the people want to leave at different times, right? So I'm just trying to understand the mechanics of this, how it works.
So it would operate with the on-demand system.
All right.
And, usually I would think.
I mean, I'm not gonna have one bus going past the other bus leaving. And it's gonna be all tied pretty close together.
We're probably be getting all the people that are on the same flight.
Well, not necessarily.
Everybody leaves at different times.
Some people here think that, you get there half hour, 45 minutes early, that early in the morning is fine. Some people still get there 2 hours early
Right.
because of being the smaller airport. So you probably have some of that overlap at times, but that just might be something that has to be worked out. Maybe something can be posted in the hotel or something. If you got to play at Cherry Capital at 6:15, there's going to be a bus there, but reserve your spot.
The airport would like to market this with us
Yeah.
as part of the promotion for it.
So Eric, you're in charge of marketing this, right? So this starts in January. When do you start? What's your plan?
So we're waiting for your approval first on that, but
Well, I think we all been asking for this anyway, so go
you
ahead.
have.
Yeah.
So we'll work with, so Brand Tonic is our marketing partner that we brought on for the year.
Okay.
And they've got this slated in as one of the initiatives that we'll promote starting here in 2025. So we'll start rolling it out immediately.
And then, so this will just be getting them to the airport, but there won't be anything necessarily getting them back.
So I mean, we'll still have our same link service that they could take throughout our normal link operations, plus Route 14 goes in there. But that window that you guys were talking about for the late night flight, we don't have anything for that currently. We're gonna start with the morning, see how that goes, and then look at the evening as well.
Welcome to the evening. Okay.
It's easier to have somebody pick you up at 11 than it is to ask them to get up at 3.
Great. Been there,
Very
done
true.
that.
Very true.
Bar's still open, so you have time to, on the way home.
Yeah.
That's right. After dinner, come get me at the airport.
At least the rental car company over there.
There's there till the flights come.
That's what I thought. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people probably coming at night are probably, not everybody, but I'd say a high percentage of them are either already getting picked up by friends or family
Yeah.
or rent a vehicle.
Or they're just business travelers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the pilot program for the airport service.
And second,
So,
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Adam, thank you.
yeah.
And you too, Eric. You guys. You've been key to the success today.
Yeah, hey, Eric, just one thing, like, the interest in Leland County is gonna be pretty high,
It
right?
is.
Because we've got the worst travel path. So how are you gonna ensure, not necessarily ensure, but we don't want that message to get out to them because they're gonna be calling me. All right?
Yeah.
Oh, and Gwen. So how are we gonna keep that message to this core zone here that's available during a test? I mean, there's a message you gotta create here that it's a test, it's for the
Yeah.
core area.
Yeah.
Our intention is to expand based on what we can, give, all those things, messages got to be included, right?
Right, and I think exactly what you're saying, John, is based on the success of this pilot, will directly correlate to expanding into Leelanau County and Grand Traverse County.
Okay.
So, as we see ridership and usage of it, it's a perfect segue to expanding it to Leelanau County, because we know that there's demand there for Leelanau County as well.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
I just want to make sure that's,
It's gotta be in there. And the other thing that we can promote too is that there is service currently from Leelanau County to the airport during our normal hours of operation as well. So you're not abandoned, and we're hoping to expand. The same thing happened when we launched the micro transit for the first. We only have launched it in and around Traverse City to begin, and we kept our village link, our traditional dial-a-ride in the rest of the county. We saw the success that it had in our core zone, and then we were able to expand on demand to our whole service area. And I see the same thing happening here with this.
cool, thank you.
And that resolution, the master agreement.
Yeah, I don't think that needs to be read aloud necessarily, but the resolution required by MDOT to appoint Chris as the interim director and grant her the signing authority that comes with the position is in the packet. And do we need a roll call on that, Tracy? I think we have it on the agenda. Roll call?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the MDOT resolution master agreement as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, Tracy, roll call if you would.
Councilman Villa,
Yes,
Smith,
Yes.
Glenn Elgire,
Yes.
Scott Seifert,
Yes.
Brad Jewett,
Yes.
and Richard Copper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chris, front and center. That's my military experience, front and center. I always got pulled out of the ranks and you had to center yourself and
No.
is that,
No.
I'm ready. All right.
Hit it.
Okay, so every year, we send an employee engagement survey out to our employees. This year, we sent it September 18th, and we held it open to about September 30th. We received 123 responses back. I would say just at a 30,000 foot level overall, really good results. Pointed out a few areas that we want to grow and improve in, and we're already engaged in improving in those areas. So we can start with the first page where we have some training that a lot of different trainings that we provide to our employees and drivers. And one of them is TAPCO, and that's a paratransit company, bus driver training. And you can see it was a nice improvement. Many of these questions we asked previously last year, so I just put the results of the previous one below, and then the 2024 ones above it, so you can see the results.
Chris, I just wanted to quickly point out that the 123 respondents is out of about 140 employees.
I was gonna
So,
ask that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
wow, so it's a great response rate.
What is the difference between not applicable and the two?
There are some employees who don't take the TAPCO training. It's not related to their job.
Okay.
So they would be non-applicable. And the reason maybe last year was a little more, we had several new hires that hadn't been offered the training yet too. So they didn't take it. So you can see
And
nice increase from 69 to 78%.
what would be kind of interesting to see, Chris, is if it's not applicable, I mean, you've got the total 100 there, but those answering what percentage is agreed to disagree. You know, like the first one, 78 would be like 90% plus compared to the 8%. You know, the 78 to the 8, if you just looked at that, like 87, looked at 78, because really the 13% it's not applicable.
Mhm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
The number of people.
If you
No.
take the 13% out, then you're really, what is left
What
is
is
the
really the
number.
percentage?
I think the bigger thing to look at would be like the disagree or strongly disagree,
Right,
you know, because you do take the non-applicable people out of there.
yeah,
And it's really
Right.
hard to tell how they would vote because they're not applicable
right.
Yeah.
and stuff. So, I mean, even though it's just over a 1% increase, I guess I would, you know, want to know why they disagreed that it was, you know, great training.
Mhm.
And so after each of these surveys, we debrief and look for improvements. We've done that, and I will take what the board has recommended for changes for next year and incorporate that in. So I will make a note of that to make a change in that.
Would we get a better picture if we took the non-applicable people out? I mean, where they just don't do the survey? Or not?
Well, they do most of the other questions, so the result of it, we could,
You'd have to
Take
have a
out the
check-in
summary.
question first,
Yeah.
so that you
Yeah,
know,
I see
if
that,
you
yeah.
participate, then you rate it.
Yeah.
we could just ask a question, so that if you participate in TAPCO, what is your, do you strongly agree or disagree
Right,
with it?
that's what, yeah.
So we can
Yeah.
rephrase the question.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would not be a problem. And we learned that a couple years ago on a couple of questions where we asked kind of like a general opinion on something. And then we ended up finding out when we asked it, how do you feel about it? We got a totally different response. So they were speaking more on behalf of other employees in the organization. And so
Yeah.
we learn each time we ask a question, but
So I read the question.
yeah.
so that one we'll revise for next year. Same thing like the second one too. I was given an opportunity to give input on BATA's new mission, vision, and values. And I'm like, how could there be 18% that weren't given an opportunity? At the time they applied, we had already went through the process.
Yeah, that process was, over a year-long process. So when you're hiring 4 to 6 people a month, you're gonna have people that weren't part of the process.
Yes, and so we could also, in thinking through it now, it's the first time I've asked this question, but we could say, if you were employed at the time we did the process, were you given an opportunity? What I would tell you is, at the time we did it, all employees were given an opportunity. We had different sessions and and so whether they attended or not, we could see, but everybody was given an opportunity to see, give their input in our comms meeting as to, and actually some of the things were changed after you guys went through it. They added some information on the values. Our frontline people did, so. The next one, my position has a direct impact on our mission, improving the lives by Lincoln people. Still a very high number, but there looks like there's a couple people that don't believe their position impacts our mission for whatever reason, but it's still a very high number. Question 4, I am willing to take on new tasks as needed. Kind of amazing, really. 100% said they are. A couple of years ago, that's one of the questions I mentioned before. I said, we asked, employees are willing to take on new tasks. So some felt others weren't willing to. Now, when we ask, are you willing to, you can see the results. Q5, I willingly accept change. Another one stays staying pretty high, really 94, 95, almost 96%. Do you trust your leadership? We went from 75 to 83. That's a good increase.
So yeah, another reason, Kelly, for you to step up. The high point of people believing it.
Q7, I'm treated with respect and appreciation regardless of race, gender, position, function, age, and disability. Slight decrease. We're at almost 96%. It's at 94%. It's still 94%, so that's a nice high amount. I would say if we have anyone that comes to HR about a concern about their race, gender, anything like that, I can tell you that evening they'll be followed up on with the person involved. And we've heard from staff how much they appreciate the quickness that we do not tolerate anything. That it might even be a discussion that's going on, not relative to you as female, and they're talking about that, and we follow up on that immediately.
This is another one though, Chris, that the wording could be by anybody in the organization and not by administration. I'm treated with respect and appreciation regardless of age. So
right, and that was
someone's response may not necessarily reflect the way that BATA's leadership is handling something, but by how they're being treated by coworkers.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there could be.
Still a really good number because no matter what workplace you have people that don't care for each other, and so they could feel it.
It's all a reflection upon leadership, regardless of how it's built.
Yeah.
But you're right,
It is
Brad.
and it isn't. Sometimes
it is.
Great numbers. I mean,
There are
it would be great to have 100
And
on
they
everything.
don't need to be here.
Yeah.
But
I
we're
think
trying
that,
to keep,
and people who question that too.
yeah.
So these are really good numbers, so.
I don't want any butt in the seat. I want a good butt in the seat, right?
Very true.
So Q8, my organization is dedicated to diversity and inclusiveness. Pretty high number again. A little slight decrease, but still 94%.
Almost the same as one before, isn't it?
Yeah.
Similar.
Almost.
Yeah.
Same person probably. And people.
Q9, I have the opportunity to provide feedback and input for key decisions. 77%, slight decrease. We're going to work hard on that because we'd still like to get that number bigger because we do make key decisions, and we're feeling as a leadership team that we are reaching out to our employees, but some are feeling that they're not able to give input. So we'll just try and continue to be real, like when we go for a rebid. We're going to do a full rebid here coming up. We went out to our employees and asked what they're looking for. And, do you prefer 4/10s? Do you prefer 5/8? You want evening weekends? And so we're trying to do that because that is a big area that they would want to give input on, would be the schedule. And we usually do maybe once a year, do a complete rebid. On Q10, question 10, employees treat each other, employees treat each other employees as customers. Slight increase from 81 to 84. And, I think there are some that, do have, as you said, just some concerns with their fellow employee and they feel like they're not being treated well. And so we're trying to provide an environment where they do feel comfortable, they can speak up to someone who isn't treated well. Or if we observe it, then we will speak up. And we had a situation yesterday and someone did not treat someone with respect. So we called the person aside and, I think they treat our customers. And our motto is, every person beside yourself is your customer. So our customers are our passengers, they're our co-workers, they're our leadership team, everybody's a customer. Question 11, hourly rate and the salary I receive is fair relative to my local market. That's a significant increase. I mean, from 67 to 77.5. That's a really nice improvement. And, this is specific to their salaries. So I would expect there will be some that no matter what you pay them, they would like to get more. We review our salaries, as you know, periodically and make adjustments. And so to go up that high, and I was very pleased with that. Again, if you'd like to have it 100%, you can pay what you can afford to pay. So.
Well, didn't we just
Yeah.
raise the hourly rate by like $5?
2 years ago.
I mean, it shouldn't have gone up. I mean, everybody made a hell of a lot more money here, right?
Yeah, was it in 22 or 23?
I thought it was 23.
It's like,
20, I mean, like,
23, that's right.
yeah.
So
I mean, that should have gone
the
up.
jump
by
is
10.
the reflection of the 25% pay increase.
question 12.
Quite a bit.
I'm satisfied with my total compensation, so that would be, their pay, their benefits, their PTO. That one went up a little bit also, 61% to
You can't afford
68%.
to live a grand service connect for what they're paying or what we pay. And I've lost people to you too. Nice job.
I'm sorry, we're awesome.
Hey, good for you. Sorry, Chris.
And there would be a couple that I know wish we contributed to Social Security. So I know there's a few people that would rate us a little bit lower on that end. And we have a Social Security replacement plan, a pension plan that we offer, but the Social Security is not something we contribute to. And also in the benefits line, which I'll get into a little closer here in one of the next questions, but there aren't $500 deductibles anymore. There aren't real low deductibles anymore. And in general, I mean, there are some organizations that have it, but they've been gone for a long time now.
It happened.
What is that?
It happened.
So, question 13, communication between senior leaders, directors, and employees is good. Slight increase from 81.9% to 77. Slight decrease, not sorry, I think decrease. So we're going to continue to work hard on that, make sure that we are communicating well. And we have asked in the past what's their mode of communication that works best. And it has been through direct emails. And so we ask all our staff to check email daily. And then we have monthly communications meeting with all our staff. And we hardly ever cancel that. And we break the groups into two. And then if someone's not able to attend, once in a while there's a shift, we just can't replace them. They do go and review that. We have we put it out on our UKG website so they can review the communication that gets delivered at that time. My manager, supervisor recognizes strong job performance, went up a little bit also, 84 to 89%. Question 15, my supervisor and I have a good working relationship. I mean, that's quite amazing, really, 92%.
Based on those two, you wonder why question 13 went down so much. Because those two are, working with your manager or supervisor, you're looking at that.
So question 13 is related to the senior leaders. So that would be Kelly, me, Eric, Justin. That would be the directors of the organization. The other one would be the manager and supervisors, but it could also be like, I'm reporting that as my manager, Kelly. So it just takes in another group of people.
So you guys are slacking.
Yeah, we're missing the boat on some things.
It's just, it's in my.
But has anybody ever said that, if we back up to 13 a minute, has anybody verbally said what you guys can do to improve communications? I mean, because it sounds like you're communicating well, especially if they check their emails and everything. But I mean, has anybody verbally or written down saying what needs to improve that communication with the senior leadership?
You know, we've got to sound like we micromanage. I've heard that before, but we haven't really found out like where is the micromanaging of that.
And I can give you a couple of like examples. So, like, for example, we've had a lot of change this year, a lot with the new facility and new technology and things like that. And I heard some verbatims of like, so there's just so much that, you know, maybe we didn't digest it all, or we didn't get it, you know, even though it did come out in some sort of communication, maybe it didn't get captured in the way that they could, you know, encompass it correctly.
Yeah.
So with all of the,
Not the way they envisioned what you were saying.
well, I mean, they were drinking from a fire hose with,
Yeah.
with everything that we had with the new facility and everything this year. So
A lot of change, a lot of moving pieces. And
and keeping that in mind and making improvements to just repeat often, repackage, hit them where they can process it, I think is very important.
I would bet next year we'd see that number go back up because just all the change with moving,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're not bouncing around between one building for parking and another building and
Yep.
everything and stuff. So I think 13 will definitely improve next year quite a bit.
And a lot of frontline staff don't really realize what it takes to completely move from 2 or 3 facilities into one. They don't, you know? And so we're trying, I mean, there's so much that's going on, so many moving parts, and, you know, it doesn't always get to the front line as to, okay, no, this changed today.
I think board stability is a big piece of it as well. You know, when they're reading things on the front page of the Record Eagle that concern them about the organization, and there's not a whole lot to say to them about what's been happening with the board. And I think they feel, you know, it's been very uncertain. And so that's reflected. So,
Question 16, I'm able to make decisions affecting my work. That went up, that's really nice again, a couple of percentage points from 83 to 86%. Again, it kind of ties to the other one about helping to make decisions about change. Question 17, I participate in the medical insurance offered to the organization. So we changed it this year to ask first, if they participate, and then if they do, what one do they, and then how do they feel about that plan? So you'll see a little different than we asked previously. So it's helped us fine tune their responses. So,
Man, that's a good question. For people that don't participate, they already have spouse or another form of, okay,
Yeah.
to make sure.
yeah, they have them through it. Some of ours are retirees, so they have a retiree, either pension and insurance. Some have a spouse that maybe offers better insurance.
So we're not leaving anybody without, so.
Everybody's offered it,
Yeah,
whether
okay.
they participate then, yeah. Question 18, so now it says, please indicate which medical plan. So we have a medical plan that's an HSA, and that's the majority of our people. We have a tiered up plan, so that's for our, some employee, it's costly, but some employees want to know, my visit is $35 every month. That's what it's going to be, and for their budgeting, that's what they want. We only have, less than a dozen people that participate in that because of the expense, but some people, it's easier for them to budget for their family. So, and then we have a limited benefit plan. We have employees that are called fill-in employees. They are not subject to, mandatory overtime. When they first get through training, they'll fill in for a while and take shifts that aren't a set schedule for the rest of their year or whatever. So the fill-in employees get a limited benefit plan, it's called. And it's just for more catastrophic. So that's kind of the breakdown of how the insurance is offered. So then question 19, we would say, so those of you who are on the HSA plan, are you satisfied with it? And it went up this year. And, you know, I think all of you work in insurance, so you know, we actually in BATA the last 4 or 5 years, we have enjoyed 1.3%, 1.6%, 5%, 5% increases only. It has really been minimal for the last 4 years. This year went up 14%, but many in the area went up 20% and 50% in the premiums. And that has to do with a lot of things, but ours is really, you know, it's a good plan. But it's not a zero deductible. It's not a $500 deductible, and it's what's affordable without having employees or us pay huge amounts. So we see it go up a little bit. Good. Then, but the two-tiered plan, that's the one I was referring to earlier, that satisfaction went down. And that's because the cost went up pretty significantly there. They still chose to stay on it. Surprising, actually, to me. I thought we'd have a few more people, which I think next year, if it keeps going up, it has to kind of pay for itself. We can't pass the rates on to other people. So we keep reviewing it every year, what kind of plans we have, go out to bid and see if there's other providers. There isn't a state out there, employee health insurance, but I intend in the spring to reconvene a insurance review committee and get some volunteers from the front line and sit down and talk to us again about what are they looking for in insurance, and then we go to like Hub or somebody that can give us, you know, what's out in the marketplace, and based on our utilization, what would be a change that could result in not as big of increases. And then we have
Fast every year.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Then we have limited benefit people if they're satisfied with their medical plan. And some of those people will go into, once they get into a bid position, they will go into like the HSA or something. So I would expect.
It's easier for this, the non-full-time employees I saw later. They're non-retirement folks. They're part-time.
Right.
Substitutes,
Right.
whatever. I forget the phrase.
Yeah, might work there too.
Filling drivers.
Filling drivers.
Thank you.
Yeah, filling drivers. And then we also checked out, you know, where are they with our, we have 2 retirement plans. So we asked them which one they contribute to. We have the defined benefit. So there's a defined benefit when they retire at the end of their career, what they will receive. And there's also a defined contribution. So our bargaining unit members and admin are eligible for the defined benefit. And those that are in the fill-in category, they're eligible for a defined contribution. If they move subsequently into the defined benefit, then their defined contribution plan's frozen and they can go into the defined benefit one.
I'll just, Wayne had a question about the match on the defined contribution. So just as a point of information, so these are Social Security replacement plans since we don't participate with Social Security. So we contribute the equivalent into the defined contribution plan. So that's 6.2%. And it requires a 1.5% contribution by the employer.
But is there any additional that we do?
No.
Yeah.
And that's, some have come from private industry where there is that. And so that could be in the part of the people that are in the 20%, maybe not satisfied with it. But in general, well, we'll see on the next one, question 21. I'm satisfied with the MERS defined benefit retirement plan. So that's a significant increase. And one thing I would attribute that to is we have done a lot of employee education on that, you know, to try and help them see the vesting period is 6 years, the multiplier in the formula, what that is, show them market analysis of what other employers offer as far as the pension plan. And so I think we've done a lot better job educating them on our pension. And we improved our orientation program for all our new employees, and we spend time there. We added an extra hour to our orientation on their benefits and things to really let them know this is a good plan. And I've worked in the public sector for schools, and they were taught to have the Cadillac plan. And some pieces of ours are much better than the public schools plans even, so,
Yeah.
yeah, the multiplier of 1.25,
Yeah.
you know.
Is the multiplier for the drivers 2.25?
2.25, yes. And that's a good multiplier. So you
Yeah.
start down in 1.5, not down, but for 1.5. So we've tried to really educate them. And same thing with the vesting period. A lot of pensions out there are 10-year vesting, you know. and
6
so
years is,
Yeah.
it's a good
yeah,
one.
they need a job.
We're hiring. So here, I got
That's right, I didn't
some.
realize that.
So it's good to see that go up. And, you know, I think we have to continue to keep educating our employees as to what we do have in form. I'm satisfied with the defined contribution. That went up significantly also, and I know it's because we are providing more education on what they have, you know, and they work, you know, they're filling drivers, and so they still can contribute to a plan, and then if they don't retire, they can get their money that they put in to the plan. So that went up pretty significantly. And then we also have a 457 plan, and it's a tax deferred retirement plan, savings plan. And so College Mission Square provides it. It's a 457 account, like some have a 501 401k plan. And so again, we have really been educating people on the benefits of putting set aside tax deferred money and how it can help you during the year, but it can also help you on like a self-imposed savings plan. And John Ocker is our payroll person, and he's really done a good job at our orientations and things of just knowing at this point, you might not be able to think you can afford this, but if you just put $25 a pay at the end of the year, you'll have this much. You're not taxed on it at this end. And currently we have employee contributions over $1 million a year now into the 457. So
What is the max one of them can put in? Is there a max?
yes,
It's around 23,000.
yeah.
Yeah,
And if they're over a
depends
certain,
on fit, and then age 55.
Yeah,
Yeah,
50 and
I
over, you can do
I didn't think it was that high.
Yes, it's right around
you can
there.
have another 7,500 if you're over age. So it's a good way to really avoid, and people that are on Medicare then, you know, it brings their adjusted gross income down, so they're actually paying less on their Medicare.
Yeah.
So, and we had someone come in for Medicare, and anyone 64 and over, we just invited to come into a meeting with a really good Medicare specialist to kind of share with them some of the savings they can realize by choosing the right Medicare plan. And actually, I've had 2 employees come in just in the last week to say how much they have saved now by the advice. Or I know a lot about Medicare, but they need to hear from someone that's, you know, that's what they do all the time. So that went up. Yeah, I mean, to have a third of our workforce contribute to it now, that we went on a set 2 years ago. It helps them in the long run, in the short run. So I'm satisfied with the provider from 69 to 91%. It's a direct result now. They know like the money they're making on it, and they know the tax savings they're having during the work year.
There's quite a difference in how many people answered that though, because if you look at question 22, 112 people answered that they participated in it, but on 23, only 36 of the 112 answered that.
Well, on the 112 that answered it, 66% of them don't contribute to it.
Yeah.
So that's okay. So then the 33% that answered it are answering the next question. Yeah. Pretty significant. So are you satisfied with the provider? Significant. They've been good communicators on the program. Then so question 24, would you recommend BATA as an employer to family and friends? That's one of our scorecard metrics that we do every year to see. And it went up pretty significantly. And I would hope if you're working for us, you would recommend, but we all know from business, there's still some, I stay here because I have to, or I stay here, whatever their reason is, but went from 79 to 91% say they would recommend us to a family and friends. We have continued our employee referral. Little incentive that's like $1,500 payable over a person staying for a length of time. And So they are referring family and friends to us. And then this is another metric that we use on our scorecard. Do you feel we have the tools needed to deliver quality service? This is one, it's still high, but it went down a little bit. And so our next meeting, we want to follow up with, we have to do our comms meeting, but we didn't really get a good, like, what tools don't you have? I want to follow up with that and see what tools do you feel you don't have to do your job? Because we're pretty, if they needed something, we can provide it. And off the top of my head, I can't think of something like, no, we can't provide that.
I can't think what changed over the past year, that was 7% reduction.
There were a lot of new employees last year,
Is that,
so.
okay, so
you know,
new
the different
people
pool of
answering
people
the
and
question.
questions.
Could be, yeah. That is pretty big.
Yeah.
increase.
Yep.
So,
So we need to find out, yeah, what are the tools they don't have? Then, question 27, rate your overall satisfaction from 1 being very dissatisfied to 10 being satisfied. Slight increase from adding the 4 to 6s and 7 to 10s from last year to this year. Overall satisfaction at 4%, dissatisfaction, I mean. And then just some follow-up ones we asked, like, what do you most like about your job? You know, and most of them had to do with they love our staff. They love helping our passengers, salary benefits, and driving. Some people love to drive, you know. And then what do you like least? One of the answers is technology. And I think you will find that different next year because we've had a lot of improvements in technology. And so at that same time, you got to learn the new technology. And so I think there's, you know, the people that we've had some bugs to work out too, as you get new technology, and we have a great technology staff that's helping them. Our drivers and dispatchers really look up to them, but there's been a lot of change during the period of this, and I'm quite confident that will not be there as a least. And then employee schedules, that came up as the two highest things that were indicated. And so again, we went out to the employees then and tried to get a feel for and build a schedule around, because some people love 410s. Some want 5 days a week, 8-hour days, 10 hours is too long. So Adam and Eric are currently putting a total rebid together. So trying to take that input from the staff and build a schedule that meets our passengers' needs. And also, because we do it in seniority order, then, you know, try and meet the needs of our staff on what schedule works. Someone just work weekends, someone work evenings, and someone work 8 to 5. Well, 8 to 5 doesn't really work in transportation very well. You know, we start at 5 in the morning and we have shifts like that. So then we
We're using the new technology to create the shifts for the first time. So it's going to be really interesting to see what remix yields for the staff schedules.
Well, the biggest complaint we had, who I was a CEO for, and we had 10 410s, was the issue was daycare. Because most daycares are 8.5 to maybe 9 hours. And that would be the issue that they usually run into. But unless they had a spouse that was flexible, they could pose an issue.
And some of our employees love, like the big line, they love doing that same path every day. And some, they love like the link. Some like the loop, they like to go to Sunset Bay or they go out to Kingsley. And so everybody kind of has a personal preference in that area also. There's a lot of things to juggle when you're building a master schedule like that. And so each of the next 4 questions are similar, but they're a little different. So we're just trying to, like, what do you look forward to when you come every day? So you see some overlap in that compared to the previous one. The question was very similar. And then what keeps you working here? Again, some of the same responses of, we do have good staff. I mean, it has really improved in the last few years. I mean, they work together so well. Someone here, you know, I'm wherever I'm having some issues. Hey, I'm right behind you. I'll come over and, you know, relieve your bus and take passengers on. There's not like, we don't have like competition with people, and they really get along well. Some just love our passengers, and they know them as family. And
Yeah, I was thinking yesterday in our we call them comms meetings, communications meetings, but they're just staff-wide meetings. And we have a section where we share all of the compliments, the same thing that goes in the packets for you guys, that people that call in and commend our staff for the great work that they're doing. And as a part of that, we also ask the staff if there's anybody that they want to give a shout out to or stand up and commend. And there was a lot of cross-departmental shout outs yesterday. And I was reflecting back to 15 years ago when I came to BATA, that would have never happened. There was so much animosity between departments. Every department was its own silo. Mechanics, dispatchers, drivers, they were all fighting about everything. It was, so it's the organization is in such a healthy place, and there's so much teamwork, and it's really a very healthy workplace. And that is to the credit of Chris and Eric and Adam and everyone on the team. I mean, everyone is supportive of each other and working together to serve the mission of the organization. And it just has come so far. It's really remarkable to see the transition.
it's a very much a staff, like, yes, technology, whatever. Yeah, I can do that. It's an I can do that attitude. It's not, I don't have time, or we can't do that. It's always, yes. It's like, yeah, it's
Very
positive.
positive environment.
Raising around.
Tell.
Mhm. And then, so what do you want to change about your job? Let's see what those things are. Schedule came up again, so we're looking at that to try and get more shifts that match the needs of our employees. And I'm not trying to be defensive here, but then also we have employees leave and new employees come in, their preferences could be different. So it's helpful to do that like we did every year, so that we have things that meet the needs of our employees. But nothing, several people said nothing. Newer buses, we have that come up. So we've been trying to educate our staff on, we have to put miles on our buses. There's a formula that you have to go by. We can't just, okay, that bus is getting a little rusty or it's a little louder. You can't just park it. So just trying to educate our employees of why some of those buses are still being driven. Salary benefits and better communication. That's one we can work on, and we have a great communication leader in the communication department that leads us, and also just all of us in our messaging, trying to be thoughtful of, okay, frontline needs to know this, frontline needs to know this, and that's the end of it. I think it's a very useful tool. The first step we did then was get with our managers and directors, just kind of at a high level go over some of these things, prioritize what are some of the areas that we need to now follow up on. And this week we met with the operations managers to look, okay, what are the top 2 or 3 ones that let's take back and do something about? And then educating at our comms meetings, our employees, got feedback from you on X, Y, Z. This is the follow-up that we're doing on it. So it's not going to be a document that sits on a shelf and gets nothing done.
Right.
Anything you'd like to see added or looked into for future ones?
I think it'd be interesting to keep it the same and see what changes next year, especially being in a new facility and the chaos of moving and everything is taking out the picture. I mean, for me, but I mean, there might be stuff that people want to add too. So.
Well, to keep it the same will be an apples to apples comparison instead of changing it. I think there's some value in that, especially we talked about technology in a new building. I think it'll probably be some of those things that are showing some gaps there, some lower numbers that way they will change. So, I mean, you can certainly see results from what you talked about, just to represent that. I think some of those other things will come up.
Great, we'll do that. Great, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. That's great.
I think it was a really good survey overall and really good numbers. I mean, we're always going to see some go up and some go down a little bit every year, especially as employees change and everything. But I mean, everything's 80% plus, or most of it's in the 90s. So it's
That's impressive.
that's really impressive. We're beautiful people that work with each other every day and such. So
we're not, we have very positive employees right now, and there wasn't a time even in the last 5 years ago that the negativity just gets on people, and we're not afraid to address those and make tough decisions as far as removing staff that are negative also. So you might look for improvement first, but if it is an improvement, you're gonna be negative, it's not gonna be here, because employees yesterday at our luncheon, you were there, Wayne, and everybody's happy and they're.
I just feel like, I mean, even with the reindeer and
Yeah.
polar bear.
One of our employees, our mechanic, he's our mascot, and he comes and he dresses up on his own time many times and just dresses up in costume. He's in our parades, and just makes everybody happy. And
Fantastic.
I heard someone yesterday ask him how many outfits he has, because he had 3 outfit changes yesterday. I mean, he was the Grinch, he was the reindeer, and he was the polar bear Santa guy all throughout the course of the luncheon. But his response was, he has no idea. So that just too many to count.
he's a very smart person. He has a whole room, and they're beautiful, beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
He was Santa one year in the parade, and I took my little 6-year-old niece there, and we went and he was like, "Hey, Chris," and my niece like, "Santa knows you." That was our big bus driver, mechanic.
I move that we accept the 2024 employee engagement survey results as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Nice work on it.
Thank you, Chris. It just reflects how well everybody works together.
Great group.
Yeah. So it's appropriate, I'll give you guys a hard shot. Sorry. Okay. Uh-oh. Under D.
We have a resolution recognizing Richard Cochran's board tenure. And Tracy's going to read the resolution aloud for all to hear. Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome. So our resolution honoring Richard Cochran. Whereas Richard Cochran served on the Bay Area Transportation Authority Board of Directors from February 24th, 2016 to December 31st, 2024, and as its chairman in 2019 and 2021 through 2024. Whereas Richard Cochran also served on BATA's finance oversight team, from 2016 through 2023, regularly providing guidance to staff on financial impact issues. Whereas Richard Cochran utilizes invaluable experience as a certified public accountant and many years of financial acuity to ensure fiscal responsibility and lead BATA to its best financial position in its history. Whereas Richard Cochran supported BATA's request for a millage increase as needed for a long and sustainable future for public transit in the community. Whereas Richard Cochran assisted BATA in developing its first operating reserve and capital reserve funds, ensuring financial stability during times of economic uncertainty, and preparing the agency for becoming a small urban transit system. Whereas Richard Cochran brought a fair-minded approach to issues with genuine respect for all opinions to improve the transit in Grand Traverse and Leelanau counties. Whereas Richard Cochran supported BATA's development of a new headquarters facility providing operational efficiencies and a capacity for growth for decades to come. Therefore, be it resolved that the Bay Area Transportation Authority Board of Directors hereby honors Richard Cochran for his 9 years of dedicated service and leadership to the Bay Area Transportation Authority, presented this 12th day of December 2024.
Motion to approve the resolution honoring Richard Cochran's service to BATA.
Second. What do you?
All in favor?
Yeah.
Does that mean we won't be here next year?
That's usually not the case.
That's correct. Yes.
So we are on to board discussion items. Anybody have anything they want to, Amy, you look like you wanted.
There was something and I wanted to, now I don't remember it. It wasn't a big deal. Darn it.
It'll come to you when you walk out the door.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, maybe it was employee benefits or something. Darn it, what's something to?
Kelly, have you reviewed the process and that we're going through on the executive director search to the board?
I was just gonna ask you if you wanted to do a little committee update on that. You or I can.
Go ahead.
So at the November 18th meeting, the board committee was designated by the chair to include John, Wayne, and Joe to serve as the executive search committee. The executive search committee will work with, and they, at that same meeting, also hired TransPro Consulting to provide the executive search, which is the same firm that we've worked with on our strategic planning and performance scorecard processes. And so they're familiar with the agency. And they have a great reputation around the country as leaders in the transit space. So the executive search committee will work with TransPro to basically get through the initial phase of recruitment. So right now, TransPro has been soliciting feedback from the leadership team and the search committee for characteristics that they'd like to see in the next director. We had a meeting just before this meeting. The committee met at noon, likely attended.
Sorry. Small occupational hazard detail this time of year is.
Yeah, but still, if there's an opportunity to give direct feedback, they are still wanting to talk with you and Joe to get your feedback. And they're working on finalizing the profile for the individual. They hope to have the recruitment advertised by the end of next week. So the posting will be live across the country through all of the national transit and statewide national transit avenues. So the associations, the American Public Transit Association, the Community Transportation Association, all of the statewide agencies like the MPTA that we're part of, and through all of their networks will be posted. So once they start getting candidate responses, they will bring those to the board committee. They will present that initial round, maybe it's 10 candidates. The search committee will help narrow that pool to ideally the top 2 or 3, which will come to the full board then for interviews. And they're shooting for February for those interviews to take place.
How long will it be posted?
What did he say? 4 weeks?
I think he said 3 to 4.
3 to 4 weeks. Yeah.
24th of January.
And really, I think they plan to keep it posted until filled.
Oh.
So a minimum of 3 to 4 weeks, but if longer is needed, then that's what they'll do.
24th of January is when it gets posted.
No, it's gonna post it till then. That was if you look at the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Leelanau County just made a decision. We had 2 really good candidates.
Is it public who you hired?
had to have been at a
I
public
think they
meeting.
have to, and I don't, well,
It had to have been a public meeting.
the enterprise was there. They still have to negotiate, but
So did
They'll be
you form-
negotiating
did
with
they-
who?
Did they vote? Did you vote?
we
to-
voted.
So that it's public.
Yeah.
You're right, it's public. You're right. So we chose James Dyer.
I'm
Great.
sorry. who?
James Dyer.
He's the Northport Village Manager.
Ah, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
We had 2
Yeah.
excellent candidates.
He was city attorney or county or city attorney. I can't remember now if he was in Battle Creek or Calhoun County. But he was the attorney.
He's been a
Carrie, you
mayor,
probably-
he's been a,
Oh. Okay, well, he's a municipal.
the other person, the only reason he didn't get it is he doesn't have county experience.
Mhm.
But
Seven options.
whip smart.
Yeah.
Person who could do it.
There we go.
Well, congratulations.
So I'm sorry, I apologize for being late. We were
Yeah.
making a decision.
Yeah, that's a big decision. And I think he's a great candidate. So happy for the county. That's good.
Richard Lewis will be happy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's ready to.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, on to our second public comment. Any director comment, open floor? I just want to thank everybody.
And we thank you too.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And, yeah.
So Leelanau County's had kind of a spotty representation, but boy, you two will be missed.
Thank you.
You will be missed.
Yeah, I became a director at the end of January of 2016, and this guy joined the board in February of 2016, so. With a good run,
What?
with a good run.
And I knew she was going to be of quality because I worked her for a mother. And her mother was, you're just a chip right off her.
Man.
Natural born
She
leader.
was the health officer.
You focus and get out of the way.
On behalf of the other directors and managers and supervisors of BATA and the frontline, we thank both of you for your service, and it's been a pleasure to work for you.
Chris.
Yes.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Aren't you like just going down the street?
Yeah,
See, I'll still get to see you. I'm a member there. It's all good.
awesome. I know, I'll still be here, I'll be around, just be, sitting in a different chair.
Hopefully better price. Probably not, on the other side of the river, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Passing around the resolutions for Richard and Kelly, if you guys could just put your picture on those, that would be
Yeah.
appreciated.
Can I borrow a good pen to do that? Who do I give that to? Richard?
That would be-
Tracy.
Yeah, so we each.
That's all right, I'll come to you.
Fine, I did it.
Yeah.
Check that I was there.
yes,
Compensation and breakfast.
Then what about that? It's not.
that's too, oh, no.
There should be some confusion.
Yeah.
Today, 12.
Yeah.
Citizen representative.
I'm not sure what the difference of that is, but me, but
What are we passing around?
The fancier.
Yeah.
just anywhere, right?
Okay.
You're lucky, man.
Well, I know.
Sarah, I appreciate that.
See you a little later.
So what was